You're watching NDTV. This is Livestream, and this evening we're looking at this deadly outbreak, this virus that has been put out in Kerala. Now confirmed that 10 people have now died from that virus. Now, amidst all of this, there are so many of you who are writing in to ask if India is ready to deal with disease outbreaks of this kind, and that is what our experts will look at in just a bit. I'll just introduce them, but before that, like I said, 10 people have now died from this virus. We are told that at least 2 more are still critical. Now, the epicenter of the outbreak seems to be the home of a family in rural Kozhikode. 2 brothers in their 20s and a woman who was looking after them has died. The father, elderly gentleman, is critical. Now, 8 people have died just in Kozhikode, but the family I just talked about, the infection seems to have spread from their home. In fact, dead bats have been found in a well in their home, and remember, this is the disease that is spread through fruit bats. Among those who've died is that image that you can see, a nurse, a caregiver who looked after one of the first patients of this Nipah virus, that is Nurse Lini. She's left a heartbreaking note for her husband there, which has gone viral on social media, and once again underscored the kind of challenges that caregivers and medical practitioners have to face themselves when dealing with any outbreak of this kind. She writes that her husband needs to look after their children. It must not be left feeling alone, sending all of them lots of love. So that is the big story, and over the next half an hour we'll go into details on just how this virus spreads and what the symptoms are, what you need to watch out for. Let me introduce my guests this evening, Dr. Sameer Gupta and Dr. Sonia, who have taken our time to be here with us. We just go across to was in just a bit, but before that, Dr. Sonia, I want to ask you that, whenever something like this comes out, and it began as we thought, 1 person infected, 2, 3, and now 10 people have died, 2 are critical. Is this the way outbreaks of this kind go, that they sort of suddenly the numbers just keep increasing before we can contain them?
That's actually true. If you look back at even the outbreaks for Nipah itself, in 1998 in Malaysia, it was very similar. Started with a single case, and then slowly and steadily we saw more people getting infected. Same thing we saw in Bangladesh as well in 2004. Even in 2001, a few cases were reported, and each time an outbreak has happened, it's actually been, 10, 20, 30 cases at times. The major outbreak in 2004, of course, had around, 200 or so more cases. Interestingly, even if you look at Ebola, that's how it started as well. It started maybe with a single case being diagnosed, then 2, 3 more being diagnosed. So here we're seeing the same pattern too. It started with maybe the first 3 people, but then now it's important to see who were actually in contact with these people, and are they the ones who are slowly and steadily they're getting sick and, unfortunately dying from the disease.
Okay. So, the symptoms really seem to be very similar. I mean, we're always told that they're all flu-like symptoms. Think about all the outbreaks that we see, the annual outbreaks, whether we see up in the north or the outbreaks. They're all flu-like symptoms, which makes it even more difficult because you don't know when it's just a flu and when it's something far more serious.
And that's exactly how a viral infection presents. When you get a viral infection, the first and foremost thing that happens is your body reacts, and it reacts by getting a fever. You don't feel right. You feel a little uneasy, and as time progresses, the specific infection related to that virus comes out. If you have like a dengue, which is a viral infection, we talked about that before also. That in dengue, slowly and steadily your platelets start falling, you start bleeding, and it shows its disease. That same thing happens in Japanese bee encephalitis, which is also, you start with the flu and you end up with the encephalitis, and the same thing happens over here. And that is why, it's oftentimes difficult to determine whether it is the Nipah virus, whether it's the Japanese encephalitis, or
that's the challenge.
Something else, right? So what you do is you take the patient to the hospital.
Irrespective, so that's important. You're saying irrespective of what you might think, if it's got flu-like symptoms, just get it checked.
Especially if you're in that geographical area, and you think, don't take a risk, right? Because this Nipah that we are learning is very contagious.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
very fatal.
Very fatal. It's very contagious, and if you treat it right on time, then the chances of that person surviving are much higher.
Okay, so that's very interesting and very significant also to note that if you're in that geographical area, and everyone in every part of the country need not worry. Have I got that right?
Yes.
So it's not,
at this point,
I mean, so far it seems very contained,
yes.
and they've managed to do that.
Absolutely.
So, sorry.
And even before, you know, when it happened in Singapore or Malaysia or even in Bangladesh, it was contained in that area. You know, it did not spread to rest. Let's say India is right next to Bangladesh. It did not spread to Bihar or other states close by. So even currently, it is contained in Kerala, and I think that is the key thing which everybody has to remember, including the government, that now how can we contain it in the area where it is?
Absolutely, and that is step one, which is why the centre is, of course, also rushing in this team, and they've cordoned off this entire area, this entire home, and I would imagine some homes around it as well, just to again contain it. It is very infectious, it is very contagious, and it is rather fatal, unfortunately, as well. Well, lots of people from all around the country have been saying that you want to talk about this. Here is Imtiaz with some voices from Mumbai.
Ready? Ready? So expert says rapid urbanization is the major cause of the re-emergence of this Nipah virus. Now with rapid urbanization and changing climate, the real question is India ready for any medical outbreak as such? We have few voices from Mumbai. Let's just get across to them and see what they have to say about this. So can I have your name?
Sai.
Sai, what do you think about this? Is India ready for any medical outbreak as such?
Right now there is no efficient infrastructure, medical infrastructure and diagnostic center in order to figure out which kind of virus has been going through that particular city. So therefore that kind of initiatives to be taken by the medical department of India. And the other one is the awareness that to be created for the people where they want to figure out the symptoms they are getting. For the virus there will be a symptoms which is been coming up. Exactly. So they need to know that which symptoms have been there and whether they need to go
and accordingly take precautions. Yes. And what do you say? Sir, can I have your name?
Naveen.
Naveen,
I guess we do not have adequate diagnostic centers and which can detect the virus, and even the doctors say they have limited knowledge about the virus and they are learning with every case. So the best they can do is to spread awareness about it so as to prevent it from further spreading.
Okay. And sir, can I have your name?
Rohit.
Rohit, what do you think about this?
I think we have the intellectual resources, but the doctors are less. So India ranks very low in terms of doctors to population ratio, which is less than 0.76 in comparison to some developed nations, which is where it is 3 to per thousand. So I think if this virus gets out of hand and if by any chance reaches to any populated city, it can prove disastrous. And so we need more public-private partnerships in medical care, so that more awareness and better infrastructure can be provided to counter such viruses.
Okay. So these were some voices from Mumbai, and there are mixed reaction. In Mumbai, Imtiaz Samnani for NDTV.
Imtiaz, thanks very much. Also joining us from Thiruvananthapuram is Sneha Monadeepa Banerjee joining us in Kolkata. Before I go across to them, just quickly 10-second answer that I need from Dr. Sameer. If you can go first. Many points raised. The first, of course, being climate. Right. That our climate somehow is that one reason why?
So absolutely, so India is a tropical country, and if you look at any infection from mosquitoes and animals like this, I wouldn't say animals like this per se, but in general, communicable diseases, infectious diseases are more common in the tropical climates.
I see.
So if you see the entire belt across the world, whether it's malaria, dengue, Ebola, yellow fever, there is this tropical belt, and we unfortunately fall in the tropical belt.
Okay, so that explains it. It does make clearer when people keep asking why does it all happen here. There's of course also cleanliness, another factor which we do need to factor in. We'll talk about that, but let's go first across to Sneha. Sneha, of course, in Kerala, she's been tracking all of that very closely. Sneha, I would imagine that this is just such a big concern there right now.
Well, that's right, Natasha. In fact, we are coming to you from Kozhikode, and we are coming to you from the Panchayat where this outbreak was first reported. The incidents were first reported. And let me tell you, in fact, this incident where it has emerged, even the houses of the neighborhood, around 15 odd families, have even left their places and gone to different relatives' places because they are worried. There's a the nearest closest Taluk hospital, Perambra Taluk Hospital, usually would have around 1,000 to 1,500 outpatients in a given day, according to Dr. Vincent, who's in charge there. But since 2 days, when the report of a nurse who treated the initial victims and she herself has died, the outpatients is actually reduced to just about 100, and that is perhaps indicative of what the fear is really playing out. And joining us right now our local residents here. Let's ask them what do they have to say. Largely with a lot of people going away from here, is there still a sense of fear or things are now gradually returning to normalcy?
No, it's like people started coming back from their homes, coming back to their homes because they were frightened and terrified in the first 2 days because it's like no one could understand what's happening there. So,
and I believe there are health officials who have been making regular trips to this particular place to, educate people about it.
Yeah, obviously. They helped us a lot and they are just keep coming and they're just like a routine. They started the day before yesterday.
Sari inna Perambara hospital lotte poyayirunnu. Avade aalkar undayirunno?
ഇല്ല വളരെ കുറവാ 50 60 ആളുണ്ടാവും അത്ര കൂടുതൽ ആളില്ല.
Okay, so he is another gentleman who went to the hospital, nearest hospital, the Taluk hospital today, and he says there were just about 50-60 people. Ippam ഏകദേശം എത്ര ശതമാനം ആൾക്കാർ ഇവിടുന്ന് പോയിട്ടുണ്ട്?
ശതമാനം ആൾക്കാരെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ
എത്ര ഫാമിലീസ് പോയിട്ടുണ്ട്?
ഫാമിലി എൻ്റെ ഈ ചുറ്റുവട്ടം പറയാനൊരു 10-15 വീട്ടിൽ പോയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞു തന്നെ.
So just about in this area itself, just in the neighborhood of where the initial incidents were reported, around 10 to 15 people, families have actually left this place and gone. So that's a sense of fear. But authorities saying that everything is under control and they are making regular trips here to, just as part of their campaign of awareness and everything.
Of course, that concern of understandable, very understandable. The number of dead, of course, also has been rising, and the big challenge, of course, to contain it. But like you're pointing out, that they are sending regular teams. They are perhaps doing everything they can to contain it. Nipah Banerjee joining us from Kolkata. Nipah, our doctors here in the studio make the point that the challenge, of course, is for those in that geographical area. But there is concern today across the country. Is that the sense that you're picking up? Is that the sense that we got from Mumbai? Is that what Kolkata is fearing as well?
Well, certainly, doctors are telling us there's no need for panic, but there is some subterranean panic. But, I just discovered, and one knows so little about this, at least an ordinary person, that I think, little knowledge is dangerous and all that stuff. Like, I had no idea this was called the Siliguri virus. And that's what Dr. D. Gupta has just told me at the C.K. Birla Hospital. He's a microbiologist. Tell me, is this the first time you're having this attack in the country?
No, not at all. We have already encountered Outbreak previously in 2001 in Siliguri. So, and it's typically confined to the Southeast Asian region. So, this is zoonosis is usually transmitted from fruit bats and pigs, and often is transmitted from human as well. So, this disease, this virus is nothing new. So, already several countries like Malaysia, Thailand, Bangladesh have already been affected with this virus. So, yes, this is dangerous. Again, we have a lot of preventive aspects which we should always emphasize when talking regarding this virus. So we can take definite preventive measures to contain the hand hygiene, respiratory hygiene, and we have to isolate the patient if the patient comes into the hospital so that there is of cross transmission.
Right. So are you saying, Dr. Mitra, that the panic is needless, or is there reason to panic?
See, I wouldn't say that it's needless panic because of the fact that, as we have learned, that Nipah virus is quite dangerous. But what we see is that there is an unnecessary over-panicked state that is going on. With practical judgment and we are finding a patient who is suspicious of a Nipah virus infection, the first thing to do is to report to a proper designated health facility. Then there is a provision for isolating those patients, just like the way we have planned for our hospital. We are planning to isolate the patient. We are planning for proper barium nursing so that there is no cross transmission from the patient to the other health professionals as well.
That's right.
So I believe that it's definitely a dangerous situation. We should be aware. We should be ready to protect ourselves. But let's not spread the panic in the community. Let's be aware, but
Is
not
part of the panic due to the fact that there are WhatsApps going around saying there's no cure?
Well, there are many such diseases. It's not like the Nipah virus is one isolated thing for which there is no cure. But here we need to be very, very careful that we judge each case by its merit. We should take preventive measures so that there is no cross transmission. We can definitely provide treatment to the patient, not definitely, but we can actually give supportive treatment to the patient so that they can stop before reaching the fatal state.
Okay. So prevention. Definitely very, very important. That's what Dr. Gupta has just told us. Simple things like hand hygiene. And should you suspect that you have a case of Nipah virus, immediately report to the doctors. Hospitals across the country, I would say, are preparing for any eventuality of something like the disease spreading.